There once was a man who loved to hunt. He decided he wanted a challenge, so he went up to northern Canada, and he decided since there weren't many people around there, it would be the perfect place to give him a challenge. He went up there, tried to find a guide, and despite the wealthy sum of money that he'd offer them, they all refused. He'd go up to them, look at one man, be like, "Well, would you like to help me? Would you like to be my guide?" And the man would look down at him and be like, "As if no amount of money would ever make me want to go out there." No one would ever agree with the hunter, and he finally, right before he left, found this guy named Defago. Defago was an average sort of person, not all rough and worn like the normal guides, but he did say he was a good hunter. He knew a lot of Indian lore, knew very good places, very good techniques. So, with that in mind, the hunter agreed and decided to let Defago lead him on his journey. The next day, they went out, set up their tent, did the things that people would normally do whenever they were about to camp, and off they went into the forest to find their new meals. The next 3 days, however, they couldn't find anything. The most they got were fish that Defago had taught him how to catch from cutting a circle into the ice and fishing in there. But nothing else was around. But maybe it was just because it was too cold in Canada. Well, that night, they went to sleep. They were going to leave in the morning. The hunter was sleeping well until he heard it. This deep wind crashing through the forest. He woke up with a start, wondering what was going on and if possibly their tent would even blow away. So he went, unzipped the door, and looked outside. But not a single branch was stirring. Not even the lake, the little parts that weren't frozen. Not even that was rippling. He looked back in the tent, and Defago looked terrified. He looked scared out of his mind. But that didn't equate to the fear that Defago had felt whenever the wind got stronger and they could hear it whispering his name. Defago! It slowly increased in volume until it felt like the wind was buffering the tent with Defago's name. The man ended up shooting out of his position and tried to run towards the tent flap. But the hunter stopped him in time. The hunter asked him what he was doing, why he was trying to leave. Defago wouldn't answer. All he would do was shake and say, "I have to go. It's calling for me." The hunter, startled as the loudest shout rang out, accidentally let go of Defago, and off he ran into the forest. The night passed. The hunter decided to just let Defago do his thing and he'd go look for him in the morning. So he slept fairly well, a little shaken, of course. In the morning, he went trapezing out in the forest, following the footsteps of Defago, which was all fine and good, until he watched as each footprint seemed to lengthen and lengthen until it seemed like something else was helping Defago make his way through the night, even though there wasn't a single other set of footprints except for Defago's own. As the hunter managed to get to the middle of the field, he noticed the footprints disappeared and nothing else remained. He chalked it up to maybe Defago playing a prank on him, or just something else happening, an animal messing with the tracks. And he left, deciding he would just ask around with other guides and other of the locals. He got back to one of the normal little lounges, and he asked, "Have you seen Defago?" Everyone said no. No one had seen him in quite a while, since before they would, left. Well, he ended up asking this older man, a Native American man, who ended up in Canada guiding himself. And he was talking to the man. The man said, "Well, it seems almost like a story I heard when I was younger." The hunter, obviously wanting to know what was going on, asked the man to tell him more about it. "Well, there's this creature who's very tall, and he came from a normal person. You know, there are very hard winters up north, and sometimes, out of greediness, the people would end up eating each other. The person, the cannibal, would, get hungry for more, and over time it become inhuman and drag their victims further and further from their place until their feet were burning, and then they turned to dust as the Wendigo carried them away into the sky." The hunter laughed at him. "That's just an old folktale. That could never happen to a person, of course." So he left, and a couple years later he decided to try out that area again, see if maybe he could have some more luck at a different time of the year. So he got up there, asked around for Defago, didn't hear anything, and decided, maybe he moved on, Maybe he decided to go be a guide somewhere else. He went out by himself, deciding he knew enough about the forest, and that night he was sitting on a log in front of a fire, and he saw come out of the gloom a figure who had a hood covering his face. The figure didn't say a single thing, but sat down on one of the logs. The hunter thought that the figure looked familiar, and he said, "Defago, is that you?" But the figure didn't answer. "Defago, answer me. Are you okay? Do you need help?" But he still didn't answer. The man went to go shake the figure, and right before he touched it, he heard a scream of, "My feet! My feet! My burning, fiery feet!" And as the hunter managed to rip back the hood, it fell, and all that was underneath it was a pile of ash. The man never saw Defago again, but they say on a cold winter's night, you can still hear the wind whispering